Hi, and welcome back to our series on the RPhS credential. Now that we have a better understanding of what the credential represents and who the credential is for, you are ready to apply. So let's talk about that very first step, basically determining which qualification pathway you're going to use to apply for the exam. So here we are on the home page for the CCI website. We're going to go over to the menu and click on the Credentials tab, and then we're going to find Registered Phlebology Sonographer. What that does is it brings us directly to the page that is specific to the RPhS exam, and it has so much information on it for us. But the very first thing that we need to do is to determine which qualification pathway we're going to use to apply for the exam. Don't forget, this exam is not just for sonographers. So we have physicians and we also have advanced practice providers who work in the vein space that also sit for this exam. So we need to determine which of those pathways is for us. Now, for us, I'm talking about myself and this audience, and we're talking about sonographers. So if we come down, the easiest way to figure out which pathway we're going to use is to use this handy little qualification pathway tool that they have. And it's simply just answering questions. So the very first question is, do you hold a valid license to practice medicine? I'm going to say no, because I am a sonographer. The next question is, do you hold an active vascular ultrasound credential? And my answer to that would be yes. I'm going to select that, and it is going to bring us directly to the pathway that I should qualify under. Now, there is a list of prerequisites that we need to make sure that we have before we attempt to apply for the exam. One is to hold an active RVS or RVT. We answered yes to that question originally, so our answer is probably yes. Now, in addition to that, you need to have 6 months full-time or full-time equivalent of diagnostic ultrasound employment experience in venous disease at the time of the application. So that means if you work part-time, you just need to, add up the hours to be the equivalent of full-time for 6 months. And you can work in a vein-specific vascular lab in a vein-specific practice, or you could work in a general vascular lab that performs a lot of diagnostic ultrasound for vein disease. And then in addition to that, you need to have 36 CEUs or CMEs, whichever you want to call them, over the course of the last 4 years. And those can be they have to be documented in venous disease, ultrasound diagnosis, or vascular anatomy. And then once you have these, you need to have the supporting documentation for it. And that's as simple as an employment verification letter from either a supervising physician or a credentialed lab director, verification of your active status for your credential, and then your CME documentation. Now, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit because I want to show you what else is here. They have sample verification letters that you can download. So verification of your employment, they have letters that help you kind of word that, which is extremely helpful. And if you're curious to see what the other pathways are, you can just keep scrolling and